Hello and welcome. I just wanted to talk about an article that I found that says calls grow to cancel Kevin Hart's comedy show in Egypt over Afrocentric views. And some Egyptians have taken to Twitter accusing the U.S. comedian of blackwashing Egyptian history. So, um, basically, yeah, they just want to cancel Kevin Hart because of his um, comments and um, accusing him of trying to steal the Egyptian history and even calling it blackwashing Egyptian history. So, I just would like to say, first off, if people actually did the research and read, they would know Egyptian history actually has been whitewashed along with other history. That's just the truth. And so I do not agree with people trying to cancel Kevin Hart's over his comments and accusing it of being Afrocentric views. Um, that is a lie. And if you actually do your research and study the history, no matter who you are, you will find that the original Egyptian people were of black skin. That's just a fact. Um, there's definitely physical evidence that the Most High God has allowed us to have to prove that. For example, the hieroglyphs, and there's a lot of archaeological evidence as well, and you can look that up. And also, just if you're into the scriptures, you look at the Messiah himself. It says in more than one scripture, his skin tone is of a burnt brass, which is really dark skin. Um, and his parents at one time, when he was a child, had to hide him in Egypt. How would the Messiah be able to hide if he was um, of a lighter skin hue or white skin? If he's burnt brass, which is dark skin, um, the Egyptians had to be in order for him to be able to hide as a child. And also the power that the Most High was showing through his servant Moses, how Moses' hand had turned white. That wouldn't be a shock of any way to the original people of Israel if they were of what we call white skin themselves and his hand turned white. How was that showing power? They obviously were our dark skinned people as well. And at one point, all mankind, even those that have ancient history from Europe, descendants come from Europe. At one time, all mankind was of a black skin. Just that's just what it is. And over time, as mankind spread across the world and yeah, spread mankind across the world and scattered the languages, um, what we call the European people became lighter skinned eventually. So, if you just actually read the scriptures itself and also do research, different books, everything, you could actually um, gain knowledge about this. So, the people that are calling themselves Egypt today, um, they obviously don't know the history of the original Egyptian people. And that actually never changed just because a group of people decide to take on another nation of people's identity. It doesn't mean that that still isn't true about the original people. Just like the original chosen people um, are what we know as black people that are scattered across the world. Just because um, down the line that a group of people have taken on identity of the original people doesn't mean that it's changed now and they're the original people. No. Um, yeah, the Most High does not change, and so um, the truth is the truth. Those are still the original people that happen to be still be of black skin. And I'm also posting a link. It's a very great documentary that breaks down the physical appearance of both the ancient Egyptians and um, the true chosen people. So you can feel free to check that out. Hopefully the sound's still working. I checked back again and the sound is working. So I thought it wasn't at first, but even if it's not working, you could definitely read it. And I'll also post an article to that documentary as well. Um, it was put together very well um, by a brother. So feel free to check that out just to help in your research if you're ignorant about this truth. Truth is always truth. It will never change. And unfortunately, a lot of us have been lied to, and we have to, in order to break away from that, we have to seek on our own and do our own research and read. We have a newer generation in general that doesn't read anything, doesn't question anything. Some do, but I still that's I see that's still an issue because you would think this would be a known fact that the ancient Egyptians um, are black skinned people. So I do find it strange that there's a canceling of Kevin Hart and making it seem like there's something wrong with making that known. Um, I remember when I was 9 years old in elementary school, and we had a class project that we had to work on. And so I think we had a choice of what we wanted to work on. I know we were studying the Egyptians, and so I did a project report about Queen Nefertiti, which was a black skinned woman from ancient Egypt. And it just so happened that one of my classmates chose Queen Nefertiti too, and she was from the European, um, uh, descendant of the Europeans, what we call white here in this country. And so I went up and shared my report first and had my picture that I colored that my mother helped me with of the report of Queen Nefertiti. And the class loved it, the teacher loved it. You know, I sat down. And then my classmate happened to choose the same report to share with the class. As soon as I sit down, she actually had the nerve to tell me, as if I was dumb and didn't know what I was talking about, that, excuse me, but Queen Nefertiti was a white woman. And I looked at her at 9 years old and told her and said, no, your parents lied to you. She was actually a black um, Egyptian queen. You need to look into that or read more. It's something else I had added to it. But I let her know that her parents lied to her. And so she didn't say nothing else. She just shut her mouth and she went up and did her report. But she didn't say anything else to me. And I remember the teacher I had, uh, it was a white teacher, and she actually heard and saw a conversation, and she didn't say anything either. And sometimes, I realized throughout elementary, and I look back and stuff, that some of the projects we have had were actually tests of what we know, or what we're being taught. How much do we know about our history, um, about others' history, whatever. So I felt like we were being tested with that particular project. It's one project of many that I do feel like was just a test to see what our parents were teaching us. And so, yeah, I always remember that. But I let her know straight up that she had been lied to. I didn't care about her feelings. I was 9 years old, but I knew what I was talking about. And it's fact is fact. If it's just so sad that people are so stuck on color. It's about nations of people, not color, first off. And if a group of people or a person was, for example, of black skin, that's just the fact. That's just what it is. Just accept it. It's history. At the end of the day, it's mankind's history. Wouldn't you want to know the truth? You know, it's just so weird with people. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to comment on this. I really wasn't going to, because I was just kind of like, here we go again, truth being spoken, and all these accusations at the person that just speaking a fact. I mean, what kind of world we live in where we can't just speak a fact? It doesn't mean that we hate a group of people or whatever. It just shows that we are knowledgeable, we read, we know history, and we're just sharing facts. It's so weird out in this world. But yeah, once again, I just advise people to read and research on their own and accept the facts for what they are, whatever that is. Um, but hey, if you choose to just still be asleep and be mentally just stuck in the matrix, that is your choice too. Okay, with that, thank you for listening.